Hello everyone, this is Joe the Orange, and today I'm going to be talking about the Longbow. This is my second attempt at playing this weapon. The first time I played it, I did not enjoy the experience at all, because it's nothing like the other weapons I have played in this game. And all the abilities I do like in this game, such as CC, burst damage, or just being tanky as fuck, this class is not the greatest at. But it does have its own strengths. You can pick off heroes trying to run away. You're never in too much danger. But the main thing is you're very good at killing enemy ranged units. You can sit back shooting them all day, most likely one-shotting them, which can really benefit the team, especially in drawn out battles and shield wall standoffs where the range is just hiding at the back. Both teams aren't moving too much. In that situation, it's your time to shine. In this game, for example, all I really do is focus on taking out the enemy's backline and almost completely ignoring the enemy heroes. It can be a viable strat. You can rack up those troop kills very easily. If you do this all game, mostly focus on taking out the enemy archers and muskets. In a lot of cases, you'll win the game and get MVP just through those hero kills and the assists you randomly get from Rain of Arrows. And while we're on the subject of Rain of Arrows, let's jump into the Longbow's skills. Starting off with Flaming Arrow, it does a dot on the enemy and a bit of damage, but the thing I like the most about this skill is that it knocks them off their horse. When you got the enemy low, they start trying to run away and mount up, you say, "No, I'm shooting a Flaming Arrow right up your horse's ass," which knocks them off, and then you can line up another shot. It's a very annoying ability for the enemy to deal with. They can't heal while the dot's on them. They can't mount up. It's just an annoyance in general. Next up we have Rain of Arrows. It's not that impressive damage-wise, unless you shoot it at the last second when a melee hero is closing the gap on top of you. And I mean they have to be really bloody close to make all those arrows hit them. Outside of that, it does have its uses. It will get you a lot of assists because it basically hits everyone in the cone for a small piece of damage. Another use for it is some of the range won't die from one auto hit, so if you pop this off on them, it reduces their health just enough for your auto hits to be able to finish them all off. And sometimes those enemy heroes do get away on a sliver of health and they're dodging all over the place. This will allow you to actually hit them. The first skill we're going to be talking about is Bodkin Tipped. Now this is a must-have on the Longbow in my opinion. It's one of your few options when it comes to CC. It does stun the enemy, it does decent damage. Not only that, it reduces the enemy's armor and block. Compared to some of the skills on other weapons, it's not that impressive, but for the Longbow, it's fucking amazing. Next up we have Marksman, and what this does, it increases your armor penetration by 35%. It's up for 5 seconds with a 15-second cooldown, so it's up 1/3 of the time. Against heavily armored targets, you get between 200 and 300 more damage. Against lightly armored targets, it doesn't do anything at all. In many games, I'm just killing ranged units, so I don't even notice the effects of Marksman. The only time you really notice if you're shooting a very heavily armored unit or hero. I think the reason is I already have a high armor penetration because I do stack agility when I play the Longbow, and I'm already at that cap, so I can't get any more armor penetration. Next up we have the 2 escape abilities, the first one being Sharp Exit, and it basically lets you roll out of combat. You can roll back twice, putting a large distance between the enemy and yourself. The other one is Light-Footed, which lets you leap in any direction. It also gives you a movement buff, and you can recover from knockdowns. I haven't really used these abilities. If you're dying a lot on the Longbow, this may be the way to go. They do share the same cooldown, so it's best off not bringing both of them into combat. I don't use either of the escape abilities because I find that you're never really in danger as a Longbow player anyway, at least not the way I play it. So yes, I basically play like a giant pussy when I'm playing the Longbow. I hide at the back and use the range of my weapon to keep myself safe. And it works great, so I don't need the escape abilities. But if you want to get up in the front lines, I guess you could go these. Next up is the first ultimate, which is Exploding Arrow. It's not the highest damage ultimate, it does kill ranged pretty damn easy though. It also blows up shield walls and stops them from blocking for a short time, as well as stopping charges. But the greatest use I've found for it is when there's a hard shot you're probably going to miss it, you might as well do an AoE attack. It increases your chance of securing that kill greatly, and if it crits, it actually does really good damage. When it doesn't crit, it's like, yeah, okay. The first level of Exploding Arrow isn't that impressive, but check this out. This is a level 3 version of Exploding Arrow that we got to use in closed beta. As you can see, the explosion is a lot bigger. With this version, you can wipe out a ranged unit in one shot, but it does take a lot of skill pages to unlock, and meanwhile you will be stuck with the level 1 version for a fair while. So it's just something to keep in mind, and now let's move on to the other ultimate. And that skill is Lightning Bolt. This pierces through everything in its path. It ignores most blocks. As far as I've seen so far, it just goes through every block. And all targets struck are stunned. This reminds me a lot of the spear kick ability, which I do love. It will allow you to assassinate targets trying to heal behind their units. And its damage is a fair bit higher than Exploding Arrow. Overall, I think Lightning Bolt is better at the start, but once you level Exploding Arrow up, that will overtake. My favourite combo on the Longbow at the moment is Flaming Arrow, Rain of Arrows and Bodkin Tipped, mainly because it's rare that I do need a escape ability and my armor pierce is already high enough, so the other abilities don't provide too much for me. With that said, let's jump into some gameplay. And to kick this game off, I do get a headshot with my ultimate. Even though the guy was on about 5 health, I could have just done any shot and it would have worked out fine. But instead I, basically stole that kill. But I stole it with style, and that's what's important. It's like when you're about to kill someone, then someone rides past on their horse and just clips them over the head. I can't even get angry, I'm just like, well, that was unexpected and well timed. They kind of deserve it. Meanwhile, I am using that charge on my halberdiers, and as you can see, once in a while that charge does come in handy. When the heroes are unprotected, you can mess them up. It's just not the most impressive charge in the game because it doesn't do that much damage and it gets blocked by anything that's in the way. Unlike the cav that just runs straight through units. Also, on a side note about the halberdiers, this is meant to be a Longbow video, but I'm going to talk about halberdiers. They're bloody awesome on this map, it's one of my favourites. That area and position I've got them in now is so damn good. They're protected from the trebuchets, and they'll attack people coming from the siege tower on the right, and they'll attack people coming through that main gate. One thing I did forget to mention about the Longbow, as you can see, the main damage is coming from your auto attacks. The longer you hold the attack in, the further the arrow will go and the more damage it will do. Now I'm going to fast forward a bit. There is just a lot of shooting people trying to climb up the walls at the start, so let's skip that. At this stage of the game, I'm trying to kill as many of their archers as possible. Meanwhile, I'm also trying to kill this shortbow player. Well, not even so much as kill them, but try to get them to stop killing my halberdiers. At this distance, I have a massive advantage. It will take him a lot of arrows to harm me, while 1 or 2 of mine will get him to be on low health. And this guy charges in, almost gets me with that double tap, but this is what I mean. You don't really need escape abilities if you have good units near you. And I also got some help from friendly heroes, and that's usually the case. When you're standing back behind all these units, there's usually a bunch of people healing, etc. there to protect you. Not only that, I do run a lot of halberdiers, pikes, archers, and muskets, and those units delete any hero that does get too close. Once that bit of excitement was over, I just go back to picking off the troops and once again shooting that shortbow player every time he does pop his head around that corner. As you can see, I have not been getting many troop kills though, and that's because they were shield units. There was also some spears there, I think there might have been pikes, and they take 2 hits to kill as well. It's definitely not the best target when you are playing the Longbow. Instead you want to be killing those archers like I start doing now. Actually, I think in this game I just wanted to kill heroes, so I'm just ignoring the units altogether, trying to get that kill, almost get it. I think they're AFK. Oh wait, that'll be right. 1 hit to go and they wake the fuck up. In most cases, when they're not AFK, I just find this better to kill their ranged units. The next bit's rather boring, so I'm going to skip that. I basically just pluck away at them, trying to get some hero kills, but I just don't have the damage to pull it off. And I believe I do suicide my halberdiers here, and that looks shit on video, so let's skip it. Actually, never mind, this is the bit where I suicide them. I put them on that ramp and they just get shot to shit. You never want to do that. If they're in the open getting shot at, they will mount. And now it looks like the enemy team has taken our supply points, and I really need those supplies. Luckily, you have this beautiful roof on this map where you get the high terrain advantage, the melee can't get to you. And if the range starts focusing your hero down, you can just go to the other side of the roof and get some cover. As you can see, I've switched over to shooting at their troops. Once I miss a few times in a row, I just start killing their ranged units. They don't move, it's very easy to do, and it kind of resets your aim. At least in my experience it does. If I keep trying to shoot the same target and missing, the next shot will probably miss, the shot after that will probably miss. I just need to change targets once in a while. So we do eventually get the supply points back. We have our troops in there now. Not only that, we haven't lost A. So our team is in a good position in this game. Eventually I get the fire archers out and then I go back to A point. The fire archers are very powerful in this position and they go well with your longbow because they shoot from the same range you want to be standing at. It's also in this part of the game I find out if you stand too close to the palisades it will block your shot. As you can see, when I'm slightly back the arrows go through, but once I stand completely against it, it just blocks my shot completely. So now a lot of the time I just like to jump on top of the palisades. It gives you a clearer shot. It also gives the enemy a clearer shot to hit you, but you know, it's a trade-off. At this stage of the game, A's looking pretty strong, so I run my archers back so they can pick up some more ammo. I get another few volleys off, but then the enemy discovers they have a tread button and they nuke the shit out of my fire archers. Expect that to happen when you stand here. It's a very good spot to shoot from, but yes, you do get trebbed a fair bit. So once again, it's back to the supply point to pick up another unit. I bring out the pikes and I've got them in the wrong position. I should have moved them up slightly, that way they don't get trebbed. But it's not the worst position, it does block most tread fire most of the time. Not in this case, that shit hit me directly and I went into panic mode. I wanted to save my unit, so I just fucking pressed the charge button. I just wanted them out of there, even though they're running into what could have been anything. Somehow that was allied troops running up that siege tower, so it all worked out. This little wooden platform here is great for the longbow. It gives you just enough height so you can get some clear shots off onto the enemy. It also opens you up to receiving shots from the enemy though, but usually it's pretty safe. And by the way guys, if you're wondering what stats to go, I just go full agility. I want to make sure I can one-shot their ranged units most of the damn time. So I want that damage as high as possible. Of course, I'm about as fragile as a butterfly. A strong gust of winds could probably knock me on my ass. But at the same time, it's not that often you're taking damage as a longbow user. That's basically the end of this video. Overall, the longbow is very good at taking out ranged troops. You can hit rather hard with your auto hit, especially if you get a headshot, but you won't be hitting fast and your actual skills aren't that hard hitting either. You're mostly relying on the damage from your auto hits. Having said that, in my opinion, this weapon does take the most time to get used to. At the start, it lacks that excitement that the other weapons do have, where you can just do a lot of bursts and you're in the middle of a combat situation. But on the other hand, if you just want to chill out, sit back and do some headshots, this is the way to go. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and thumbs up and all that shit, and I'll see you next time. Oh, and by the way, Noctem Invicte, like always, is recruiting active members. If you're level 60 plus, sign up now. And if you're an Aussie on the NA region, then sign up for Knights of Oz. There's some good Aussie blokes over there. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and thumbs up and all that shit, and I'll see you next time.